So welcome to part 8 of the sales kit. So up until now, we've gotten really specific about what you're doing in each individual specific interaction. And in this section, we're going to talk about kind of how to close a deal, kind of tying it all together and really thinking about what this process can do for our business and to go over some additional details that we maybe didn't cover in each individual section. So first in this section, we're going to go over a general overview of the process and look at it again from a macro level. And then we're going to talk about some potential closing techniques. We're going to review a couple of key takeaways or things that I want to make sure that you absolutely remember from this course. And then I'm going to talk to you about some what ifs. So some potential situations and scenarios where this process might differ a bit and when it might work really well and when it might not work for it really well, and kind of what are some of the things that you can do to make sure you adjust accordingly. First of all, when we're thinking about the overview of this process, like what does this all really take? How much time am I spending with a prospective customer? So total time, I would say if you're going to go through the complete process, is you should anticipate spending about 10 hours with your prospect. Now, if you currently spend about 1 or 2 hours with your prospect and you look at this and go, 10 hours, like this is just way too much. Well, you probably also want to correlate that with how much time you currently spend. And if you spend an hour or two with your prospects and you're having a really hard time bidding projects over $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, and you really can't get yourself to that $10,000, $20,000 or $30,000 range, the problem is all in your sales process. It's how much time you're spending building value. So when I put this in terms of 10 hours, I would spend 10 hours with a prospective customer and I would get a $20,000 project. Now you can't just go from spending 2 hours to 10 hours and all of a sudden the money's going to match up. But as you start spending more time with your prospective customers and you refine this process, the value of your project's going to go up. You're going to stop billing by the hour and putting low hour estimates with cheap hourly rates across to your customers. You're going to spend some real time with them in the sales process and you're going to build some real value, and you're going to see that in the price of your projects. So now let's look at an overview, kind of a macro view of the entire process that I've just walked you through. So we'll kind of make this as a timeline. So our very first interaction with somebody is unscheduled. So this is our unscheduled interaction that we basically have here. And what that is it's the cold call. So remember, the cold call isn't necessarily outbound or inbound. The cold call just means it's unscheduled, it's unexpected. And the cold call, remember, was we were spending about 5-10 minutes at most. And the whole purpose of the cold call is to move from an unscheduled interaction and then get an actual scheduled interaction where it's on a mutual calendar invite and all that good stuff. And so that basically moves us to the first scheduled interaction, which is to qualify. And remember, it's not whether or not you qualify for them, you're qualifying your prospect for you. And this interaction we typically want to spend no more than 15 or 20 minutes. We've moved from our first unscheduled interaction to our first scheduled interaction, and you can see our time is incrementing between this meeting to this meeting. Once we've qualified them and we've said, hey, I'd like to work with this person, at that point in time, you're moving to discovery. And so between qualification and discovery, you're wanting to get them to agree in qualification to discovery. So once they agree to do discovery, discovery really has 4 different parts to it, and we've already reviewed all those parts. Those are all individual interactions. Discovery 1, remember, it's all about learning about the business, their stated needs. If they have some kind of predetermined buying process, you're talking to them a little bit about what your full process entails and how you're going to go into some deep dive discovery here in your additional 3 discovery meetings after your initial one. In this initial discovery meeting, you want to sometimes spend about 45 minutes to 1 hour. In your second discovery meeting, you're going to be talking about your prospect's customer. So again, this meeting might take a little bit longer and you're going to start to hit that 1 hour range. So again, you're increasing the amount of time you're spending with your prospective customer the more interactions you have. In meeting number 3, you're going to start talking about their market and their competition, and you're going to spend, let's say 1.25 hours to 1.5 hours. and then you'll move into, in discovery meeting number 4, you're talking about strategies and tactics that they've either tried in the past, and you're starting to introduce them to some of the web and online strategies that you'd like to deploy for their website project. This meeting, a lot of times, you're going to start to invest 1.5 to 2 hours. After you've finished discovery, you're going to then move into your solution presentation. The solution presentation is when you move from doing discovery to now you're actually selling them. You're actually showing them a solution that you've put together from your initial discovery meetings. And your solution presentation is going to be, again, in that 1.5 to 2 hour range. That's going to really be the maximum you're going to allow for a meeting. It's going to be a couple of hours. So by the time you get to that stage in the process, you're typically spending, at least over an hour with your prospect in every single interaction that you have with them. And then once you've refined your solution presentation, at that point in time, it's going to be all about the proposal presentation. So now you've proposed a solution, and now you're actually, or you've presented a solution, and now you're getting specific with the scope of work, budget, and timeline. And that happens in your proposal presentation. Proposal presentations, I would almost always say, are probably right around the 2 hour mark. So again, I've burned through a proposal when a customer only has an hour and a half, but that's going to be typically speaking really fast and cruising through the entire document at a pretty quick pace. So now once your proposal presentation is done, like we said, there's a couple of other tangential meetings where you can do a proposal question and answer with the customer, or you could just do some check-in meetings where you're kind of waiting for them to make a decision. But you also want to propose the option of moving right into the work plan and the kickoff. And so this is really the end of your sales process, which is the work plan / kickoff meeting. So at this point, this is the transition from sales to now you've got a live project, from opportunity to real business, real revenue generating business. In this meeting, I would plan on it to be at least 2 hours. I've seen kickoff meetings go 3 hours depending on how big a project is and how many people are involved. But typically, your process, you're going to be spending an incremental amount of time with people, and then it's going to kind of tap out where, at this point you're spending a couple of hours with your project. But again, when we start getting into this phase of the project, when you start getting into this phase of the interaction cycle, you're pretty sure that the business is going to move forward. I mean, the amount of people that I actually presented a proposal to that didn't end up moving forward was rather low. A lot of times I'll tell people that, my win rate on proposals is probably 80 to 90%. Because by the time I get to presenting a proposal, I know I'm going to get 8 or 9 out of 10 deals that I put that on the table, because there's not a lot of people that are going to spend this much time with you that aren't serious buyers. And that's the whole purpose of the interaction model. So now that we've gotten a nice overview of everything that we've gone through in a lot of detail, now we're going to talk about some kind of broad stroke closing techniques that you can potentially use in your sales process.